Hello and welcome into this ARCA News Break right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, we're currently in our hashtag Race to 1K. If you haven't done it already, go down below, hit that subscribe button. It is free to do. The quicker we get to 1,000 subscribers, the quicker YouTube will let us do mobile live streaming, which will vastly improve both the quality and quantity of coverage we're able to give you when we get back to the track at New Smyrna and Daytona in February. Help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark and you will not be disappointed by the coverage you see this season from the track. Alright, so we got our 2021 ARCA Menards Series East and West schedules announced today. Kind of surprised me a little bit. I felt like as long as it has been, I felt like we probably weren't going to get these schedules until January, but they surprised me here. We get a little bit of an early Christmas present with these schedules, and they are interesting, to say the least. There are some changes I like here. There are some changes I really don't like here. So let's go ahead and get into them. We'll start off with the East schedules. That was announced first early this morning. Not a surprise here as we start off with a couple races in Florida, February 8th at New Smyrna and February 27th at Five Flags. Take about a couple months off, back to Fairgrounds Speedway in Nashville, May 8th. Glad to see that back on the schedule after getting removed due to all of the COVID changes once we came back this year. Also in May on the 15th, we'll be at Dover. Then a debut, first time it has been on an ARCA Menards Series East schedule in the history of the East Series. Southern National Motorsports Park in North Carolina on June 12th. Very famous short track down there in North Carolina. I'm happy to see that on the schedule. I'm excited to see how that works out. Hopefully we'll be able to be at that race and give you coverage from that one because I really want to be at that race. Then the interesting choices here to end the season. 3 combo races with the main ARCA Menards Series at the end of the season. July 24th at Iowa, August 29th at Milwaukee, and September 16th at Bristol. We'll talk more about that in a second. Let's talk about the changes here to the schedule. 2 tracks that have never been on the East schedule before. Southern National Motorsports Park in Milwaukee. Great to have them on the schedule, as well as Iowa returning after a 1-year absence, not being on the East schedule in 2020. Tracks removed from this schedule. Toledo and Berlin have been moved up to the main ARCA Menards Series. We're not really losing those races. They're just not on the East schedule. But we have lost New Hampshire. That makes me a little worried for the future of New Hampshire at the national level, because if we're losing New Hampshire at the regional level, with as iffy as the racing has been at that track, yeah, we'll call it iffy. As iffy as that racing has been at New Hampshire recently, it worries me about the future of that track in general, especially if we're already losing it on the regional level. But for now, that's all we know, is that we're losing it off the East schedule. No New Hampshire in 2021. Now let's talk about these 3 combo races with the main ARCA Menards Series at the end of the season. Iowa, Milwaukee, Bristol. I love having Milwaukee on the schedule. I think that is fantastic. I wish it was as its own standalone race. If nothing else, I really wish it was as its own standalone race on the same weekend that the main ARCA Menards Series is there, just a separate race. The fact that we'll be at Milwaukee is cool nonetheless. Ending the season with a combo race at Bristol, personally, I feel like is a mistake. I don't feel like Bristol's a bad place to end the season at. In fact, I think that's a great season finale race to have. The problem is having it as a combo race, especially as late as that is in the main ARCA Menards Series schedule. I believe that's only like 2 or 3 races from the end of the main ARCA season. So we're going to be deep in the points battle for the main ARCA Menards Series, and I feel like if there's any kind of a good points battle on the main ARCA side, we're going to be paying more attention to that than we are the battle for the championship in the East Series, even if that is extremely close, because if the combo race at Bristol in 2020 is any indication, most of those East cars are not going to be up front battling for the win in this race. They may surprise me this year, but most of them were outside the top 5 or so. So we're going to be focused more on the battle for the lead, the top 3, the top 4, and those are probably going to be the guys battling for the main ARCA championship. And I feel like we might tend to forget about the battle for the championship on the East Series. I feel like we are slighting the ARCA East champion by doing this and not making the East Championship race its own standalone race. I don't necessarily have a problem with having these combo races with the main ARCA Menards Series. I feel like 3 may be a little too many. I feel like 2 would probably be the maximum that would be okay here, but I don't necessarily have a problem with this. What I have a problem with is not having the championship race as its own standalone race. There's just something that feels off about this, and it doesn't sit well with me, if we're being honest. But this is the schedule that we have to live with. Hopefully things work out well on that front. It just doesn't feel right crowning an East champion at a main ARCA Menards Series race. But let's move on to the ARCA West schedules. That was also announced today, and there's definitely some interesting changes on here as well. We'll start off at Phoenix on March 12th. Again, another combo race with the main ARCA Menards Series. They're there that first weekend that the National Series are in Phoenix in March. So that race, everybody will get main ARCA points and West points. Then we take about 3 months off before we go back to Sonoma on June 5th. Good to see Sonoma back on the schedule since that got taken off after all the COVID stuff in 2020. Good to see that back. Apparently, Irwindale really liked being the 4th of July weekend because they are back on that weekend in 2021 on July the 3rd. July 31st, we'll be going to Colorado. A second Irwindale date. Interesting choice here. A second Irwindale date on August 21st. And then you see this weekend of September 10th on the schedule. Yes, you're reading that right. It is that Portland. It is a doubleheader with the IndyCar Series at the road course. It's on a flex schedule. They're still not 100% sure when that date will fall, but it will be the weekend of September 10th, either the 10th, 11th, or 12th. The Las Vegas Bull Ring has been moved to September 23rd, so much later in the season than it was originally scheduled for in 2020. Roseville All-American Speedway, October 9th, and then again we will end off the season November 6th at Phoenix. So here's how this breaks down in terms of tracks added and tracks removed. New races. We now have a second Phoenix race as well as a second Irwindale race, as well as the addition of the race in Portland. I'm going to say right now, I don't like that we have a 9-race schedule and 2 tracks get 2 dates on that schedule. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I do not like that. Tracks removed from this schedule that were on the 2020 schedule but are not on the 2021 schedule. We have lost Douglas County Raceway, Roseburg, Oregon, Evergreen Speedway, Meridian Speedway, Kern County Raceway Park, and Utah Motorsports Campus. We've got some big losses here on the ARCA West schedule. We've got some tracks that I really hate to see go, and I don't understand why they have gone. What this schedule looks like to me is that we're really trying to reduce costs for teams, and we're trying to keep it centered around California as much as possible. 2 Irwindale dates. We've got a Roseville date. Phoenix is fairly close to California. Sonoma is also in California. Portland is fairly close. Vegas is fairly close. Colorado is the only one that's really that much of a travel. But the thing is, with some of these tracks we're losing, we lost Kern, that's in California. Meridian's not really that far of a haul for these teams. Evergreen's about the same. Roseburg's probably about the same as Portland. And then Utah's a little bit of a travel, but I wouldn't imagine it would be too bad. I don't know about this schedule. I don't necessarily have a problem with the second Irwindale date. I like races at Irwindale, but at the same time, the fact that we have 2 Irwindales and 2 Phoenixes also doesn't really sit well with me. I don't like the fact that this is a 9-race schedule and we have 2 tracks that have 2 races. I don't necessarily have a problem with having 1 track with 2 dates, but 2 tracks with 2 dates and a 9-race schedule is too much. Personally, I would get rid of the second Phoenix date. We don't need to be in Phoenix that weekend in March with the main ARCA Menards series. Give that to Kern or Roseburg or another track that I feel like would probably put on better racing, if we're being honest. I like some of the changes on this schedule. I like the addition of Portland. Again, I don't have a problem with the second Irwindale date. I like races at Irwindale. I don't really have a problem with that. I like Sonoma coming back. I like that we still have the Bull Ring at Vegas. But I feel like the losses on this schedule outnumber the gains. We've lost some great tracks on this schedule that have been staples on the West schedule for a long time. We've lost Douglas County, we've lost Evergreen, we've lost Meridian, we've lost Kern. I feel like the losses outweigh the gains in this schedule, and I feel the same way about the East schedule. I like some of the additions. I like Portland. I like adding Southern National to the East schedule. I like Milwaukee added to the East schedule, although I wish that would be its own race and not a combo race. The 2021 schedule for both of these is interesting. I don't outright hate it, but I feel a little bit let down by what I'm seeing. I feel like we could have done so much more with this schedule. And I understand some of these changes probably have to do with the uncertainty of where we will be with the whole COVID situation throughout the year. But at the same time, I feel like you can't schedule a season expecting to have to deal with COVID the whole year. Schedule it as if it's a normal year with nothing out of the ordinary going on. And if you have to make changes, have a plan B, have a plan C ready to go in case you're still dealing with the COVID stuff as we get down to different points in the season that it might affect. I am still excited for ARCA East and ARCA West action this season. I'm just not as excited as I was this morning when I woke up. The anticipation of this schedule, of seeing where we would be going with this schedule this year, I'm a little disappointed by what I've seen, if we're being honest. There's some good stuff on here, like I said, Southern National, Portland, and the more I think about it, the more I like the second Irwindale date. It's the second Phoenix date that really throws me off with this, and all these combo races. I understand why we're doing it. I don't know, it takes some of the excitement out of the anticipation of this season, knowing that we've lost a lot of good races that, frankly, I feel like should have been on these schedules. I'm really disappointed with this. That being said, as a whole, I am still very excited for ARCA this season. I'm very excited to get back to the track. I'm very excited to see racing back on the track. And I hope you are too. I hope you're excited for not just the main ARCA Menards series, but the East and the West as well, even with some of these changes we're having this season. Race cars on track is always better than not having race cars on track, no matter where those race cars are on track at. So either way, it's still a win because we're still going to have race cars on track. Fingers crossed that COVID doesn't change anything else this year. What do you think of these 2021 ARCA Menards Series East and West schedules? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think of these changes? What do you think of the additions? What do you think of the removals? What races are you most looking forward to on these schedules? I would love to hear it down below in the comments. Let me know. But I think that's going to about do it. So thank you as always to our Patreon supporter, Regional Manager William Holmes. Thank you as always for your support. It is always greatly appreciated. If you would like to be a supporter of RNN, the link is down below in the description, patreon.com/racingnewsnow. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on this video. But I think that's going to about do it. So as always, I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.